do you recall any of the meetings at 13 Court Street and what it was like? Was it 10 people coming, 15 people coming? What was the atmosphere? Was it regulated? Women on one side, men on the other side? Or
well, from the very beginning, we always separated the sisters from the brothers. Brothers would be in the front room, and the sisters would be in the kitchen. They could always hear what was going on, but there was no mixing. At first, they came in 2s and 3s, but it wasn't long before we had standing room only. And that's when we started reaching out, trying to see what needed to be done in regards to having a legitimate temple.
can you walk us through that process since the council in Newark, the way it started, was unorthodox? How was that received by the Nation of Islam, like the administration in New York? We got reached out. Can you talk about that relationship and some of the details of it?
Well, as far as I can remember, when we reached out to Malcolm in Temple number 7, and he sent Assistant Minister Curtis to help us teach. When Assistant Minister Curtis came over, we rented a little storefront up on South Orange Avenue, 142 South Orange Avenue. It was small, but it was smaller than this. We could only get about 20 chairs in that place. But that's where we started. That was the first actual official temple meeting for Newark. Minister Curtis continued to come over until Malcolm decided that Newark was rebelling against his authority. And after a heated argument at a meeting with Malcolm on 13th Court Street and the council, that night they decided to call the Honorable Elijah Mahummad and get instructions from the messenger as to how to resolve that conflict. The conflict was Minister Malcolm wanted all the brothers and sisters from Newark to come to the meetings, the MGT and FOI, in Temple number 7 in New York. And he wanted all the poor rate collected in Newark to be turned over to New York. So, in other words, he wanted to make Newark a satellite of Temple 7. At the time, I was new. I didn't have any knowledge of how all this stuff came about or what was wrong with everybody. I only saw that there was conflict because they were arguing. At the meeting with Malcolm, the argument got so heated, he opened his coat to show that he had a pistol, a shoulder holster, and made a statement like to the effect that if we didn't get in line and stop being big-headed scientists, there's going to be some heads going to roll. The head of the council, who was very familiar with Malcolm, several members of the council had been on the staff of Malcolm in Seven that had some conflicts, was put out, they came to Newark, and that's when they began to teach. So the brother who was the head of the council challenged Malcolm by telling him that, Malcolm, you know you got to bring a head in order to get a deal. At that point, I suggested it would be the first time I ever said anything in council. did somebody get on the phone to the messenger? I said, we acting like we don't have a leader to teach us. We don't have to be arguing here. Call the messenger, tell him what the problem is, let him solve it. So everybody agreed to that. That ended that conflict, that argument at that time. Malcolm called, and Malcolm, after getting off the phone, said that the messenger said for him to go on back to New York and don't worry about what's happening in Newark. That he was sending Minister James Shabazz to help Newark establish his temple. And that he wanted one of the brothers from Newark to step forward and qualify to be the minister. And that was the end of that argument. And consequently, shortly after that, Minister James did come with the same instructions. I'm just here to help you as an agent, to help you establish your temple. One of you brothers is going to have to come forward to be the minister for this temple. And from that point on, nobody really volunteered. Everybody had an excuse. Most of the council was saying that it was too dirty. The stuff they was involved in, their livelihood was a little too dirty to take on the minister's matter. Even I had an excuse. My excuse was that I was illiterate. I couldn't take no votes. I couldn't read or write. So the post remained open until Brother Belton X went to Minister James and told him he wanted to be the minister. He told him he didn't want to be a regular minister, that he wanted to go into the jails. Shortly after that, Brother Belton was appointed the official representative of Temple 25.
Can you speak to that? When Minister James Shabazz came here, was that before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to the Wakeel Theater?
Oh.
Okay. Can you talk about from the time when he came here, meaning Minister James Shabazz, up into the coming of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad at the Wakeel Theater? Can you describe in detail what that experience was like, and what was going on as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to the city and how that came about?
Well, right after Malcolm, the spirit of the brothers and sisters was so great that there was hardly a day that went by that we wasn't out trying to recruit, trying to proselytize. And the movement began to grow by leaps and bounds. When Minister James came, I called him the Son of Thunder. So he was a very good teacher. That only added to the growth. And by the time that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to the Wakeel Auditorium, we was the fastest growing temple in the nation. There was standing room only when we came. And the atmosphere was, well, the more people we see come, the more we wanted to bring in. So we spent most of our time teaching.
Were you there on that day?
Yes.
And if so, can you describe for us how it was for you? Was that the first time you saw Honorable Elijah Muhammad? What was the impression? What was the atmosphere like? What was his movements like during that day? Some people say it was a big blizzard or something like that. Like, can you kind of walk us through that day for you and how it impressed you?
Well, that wasn't actually the first time I saw him. He came to Boston. But this particular time, we were expecting him to show because everybody was saying how sick he was. So we thought that the visit would be postponed. But he came anyway. And he told us when he got on the rostrum, he said, my family and my doctor, they told me that my temperature was 105. if I got out of the bed, I would die. He said, but as I was laying there, I could hear the voice of Master Farad Muhammad reminding me to never miss an opportunity to teach. So I got up and I came here anyway, against the wishes of my doctor and my family. He said, I'm so glad I came. He said, I am so happy. He said, I'm feeling good. I don't feel sick. I waited 379 years for this day. He said, I see Allah in the audience. I see him, don't you? I said, no, I don't guess it's time. He said, but I'm going to give you your temple number right now. He says, I'm going to give you my number. This is Temple 25, the model mosque. And then he went on to say other things that he was going to say. And then he said that they're telling him that if you don't leave right now, they're going to miss the plane. He said, so I got to leave, but I will be back. And that was the conclusion of his speech.